Our second reading today comes from the book of John. It's going to be John 18, verses 33 through 37, which is the lectionary, but I'm going to be including verse 38 as well in today's service. Then Pilate entered the headquarters again, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you king of the Jews?" Pilate replied, and Jesus answered, "Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So are you a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Pilate asked him, "What is truth?" Thus concludes our reading for this morning. Blessed be the words of God. Amen. So what stands out for you in today's readings? That was a deep sigh. Yes, Jacob.
God's talking about his kingdom of heaven.
God's talking about his kingdom of heaven, right?
And he means the kingdom isn't from earth, the kingdom is from heaven.
Two different kingdoms. Absolutely. Well done, Jacob. Oh, and you gave yourself an applause. I love that self-confidence. That's good stuff. Yeah. What else? What else stands out to you? There's no right or wrong answer. I just like hearing your voices.
Well, he never said he was king. He didn't answer that question by saying, I'm a king.
It doesn't.
That he's here to tell the truth.
He's here to tell the truth. And Pilate asks a very interesting question. What is truth? What is truth to you?
It's true.
It's true. Yeah?
Not telling a lie.
So you're not telling a lie? Great.
It's not false.
It's not false.
But everybody sees truth a little differently.
Ah, everybody sees truth a little bit differently.
To believe in what you say.
To believe in what you say, so a conviction. What else? As I was preparing for this sermon, I found myself questioning, and I'd love to hear your input on this. Again, no right or wrong, just love hearing you. Is there a truth, and if so, what is it, between truth and honesty?
That's perplexing.
And you said there wasn't going to be a test.
You could say,
You said I said there was no test.
you could say, I can honestly tell you the truth.
I can honestly tell you the truth. Interesting. Yeah, who thinks that happens? I'm honestly telling you a truth. Does it have to be true?
No.
What?
Yeah.
Some people can't even be true to themselves, let alone other people.
Ooh, Marcia makes a really good point here. Can you say that again?
I said some people can't even be true to themselves, let alone other people.
Let alone other people. Jacob.
People used to be honest more than truth.
People try to be honest more than seeking the truth?
They say it more.
They say it more.
I learned this by myself.
Thank you, Jacob.
He says it a lot.
He says it a lot. That sounds like the truth, Danny.
I always just say, to be honest, to be honest, to be honest, to be honest.
Oh, to be honest. Okay, so you disclose to be honest before you make a statement. Gotcha.
truth is what you know.
Truth is what you know.
Your truth is different based on knowledge. And that can be book knowledge, that can be where you came from your familial truth
Your
to
conscience.
the professors in school, whatever, where knowledge can be truth, but knowledge can also be twisted.
And see, you could be honest and be wrong. I mean, and the truth is whatever your paradigm is for the truth.
It's true. Paul, you had your hand up in the back.
I seem to remember going on in Superstar after that, is truth unchanging law, is mine the same as yours?
Oh, yeah.
And that kind of hit home for me, like what's going on today. Mine is, truth is the same as yours.
Right.
Right? Yes. Thank you for that, Paul. Thank you all. Again, this is not for me to quiz anybody. This is me to hear your voices. Because I would be remiss to think that I've had an entire experience of life that you've had. And so as we gather together as a community, I want to hear your experiences as well, your thoughts. And thank you, because it is a bit of a perplexing question. Yes.
I think the truth is God, and honesty is something that we have or don't have. I think He is the truth, and we either speak the truth or we don't.
Well said.
Does the scripture even say He is the truth at some point?
Mm-hmm. The truth, I am the light. Yes. So it's interesting here, in this engagement that we have between Pilate and Jesus, right? Coming together. Are they both being truthful? Are they both seeking truth? What do you think? You don't think so? Okay. Would you say more to that?
Well, I think they're both playing it, right? So you use modern vernacular.
They're both playing it.
They're both playing it, right? Pilate's trying to figure out something from this man, and Jesus is giving him really circular answers.
So,
Well, yeah, Pilate's trying to trick him,
Right.
just to have Jesus say, I am king. I think.
great.
That was like a punishable offense. That was like, all right, if you say you're a king and you're,
Yeah.
you know, instead of Pilate or instead of me or whatever,
Caesar, yeah.
Caesar instead of Caesar, then that's you can be put to death. And that he was trying to like get Jesus to say something so he would feel better about putting Jesus to
Yeah.
death. Because it's all. Am I in the right context of that?
It's pretty
So,
pre-designed.
I think he was
right?
trying. Yeah.
I always thought that Pilate was trying to get out of get out of crucifying
Okay, so there's a different perspective.
He
Yeah.
didn't want to do that because his followers were becoming quite numerous. And so Pilate didn't want to displease so many of his people by crucifying Christ, so he was looking for a way out.
Oh, you mean his base?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a couple of differing possible perspectives here, right? And I'm not here to tell you which is the right way or which is the wrong way. Part of the beauty of scriptures and the reason we come together is to have our opinions. And I hope that as we gather together on a Sunday morning, we're able to share what it is we think, and yet we're open to what we don't know, right? As a community, that's why we gather together. And I find far too often in the Christian denomination that this certainty and this righthood is what separates. And I find what Jesus does is he invites us to be in community, in dialogue, in communion with one another. And that doesn't necessarily mean we have to agree. How many were with your families at Thanksgiving time and possibly saw this pull out, right? This might be exactly what happened. So, we've got Pilate, who may or may not be trying to find a reason to put Jesus to death. And then there's Jesus, who may or may not be saying, you're not going to get me this time, or I'm going to come speak my truth. This is an interesting phrase, my truth.
But he did bring up the fact that his followers weren't trying to save him, and that's why he's not of this kingdom, he was in another kingdom. And And the other kingdom, they wouldn't have let them take him away.
It's true. So why is this happening?
I don't know. They were afraid of the Romans would kill them, maybe?
Right?
I mean,
Maybe.
I cry every time I see the movie where he was crucified. Every time. I can't stand the suffering. I just can't stand to watch it. I mean, I watch it because I want to. But it just breaks my heart every time. Why did the Jews not come and save him?
Yeah,
Because they were afraid of the Romans, I assume.
maybe.
I think, didn't Jesus tell them this was his fate and this is what was going to happen to him and he knew it?
That also happened. Who else is getting a sense that this is complex? Right?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. That's why every week I ask you, what stands out to you? Because we can read the scriptures, we can read the Bible, and we can take it for face value. We have the option as well as Christians to engage in these words, to say what is going on, why is this written here? Why did the book of John capture this mission of Jesus Christ that took 3 years, as were the other Gospels, it was only 1 year? Why? What's happening here? I want to engage you. I want to empower you to interact with the scriptures because they're complex and they're beautiful in the mysteries of them. And as we read them and we glean from them, we can. But if you really want to engage, ask the questions. I encourage you to ask the questions. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't have all the answers. But as you engage in the questions, that intrigues me to continue to ask even further questions. And we can journey together. The questioning here, I think, is such a great understanding. It gives us such a great example that even while Jesus is being accused, I like to think of Pilate, for me personally, as having a generous assumption that maybe he was trying to say, why did they bring you before me? What's going on? He may have his own biases. He may have his own things that he's already heard about Jesus the Christ. But you're standing before me with an accusation, but I don't really know what that accusation is. What's happening here? So I'm wondering if that questioning, so do you think you're a king, is the thing that would allow him to say, this is why you're in front of me. Because ultimately, I just know there are a lot of people who don't like you right now. And they're trying to get rid of you. And as I pause and I think about the humanity within this, have you ever been put in a situation where someone made an accusation against you? Because of hearsay? Made a judgment about you because of something they heard? Yes, Jacob.
I would say that happened to me.
That's happened to you. Yeah. I think it's happened to the majority of us, right? Jesus comes back with this beautiful question to further engage. Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me? So as we engage in the scriptures, as we engage in this story, what comes to mind for you? What comes to heart for you as you hear that question?
It's kind of like everyday life. It's I can relate it to work, right? I think probably others in the room could as well, or family. But thinking that, you go into an office and the accusations fly, or they're trying to pull something out of you that, at that point you have to go, there's a higher being than you, right? And I don't answer to you in this regard, right? So I don't know if I explained that well enough, but it's kind of where I sit with, mere mortal man sitting there blasting me, or me relying on God to be where I need to be. So.
Well, I think you said that eloquently. Thank you.
Yeah, was this rumor, or was this, I think that's what Jesus is saying. Is it rumor? Did you get this out there in the community? Or are you coming up with this all by yourself?
But why would he ask it when he already knows the answer?
Ah.
Why do you think?
get Pilate to say the truth.
I think you're spot on. I think Jesus gives this incredible example, even in front of Pilate, to say, can you bring your whole self to me? Can you bring your whole authentic self before me? Is this what you're hearing? Or is this from you? What is the root of this? I think Jesus begs and asks us to do the same thing in relationship with Jesus and with God. So I wonder, when we rephrase this, we look at Jesus Christ and our relationship with Jesus and God, I wonder if these words apply to us as well. Do you ask this on your own? Or did others tell you about me? Because I can be up here on Sunday morning and I can tell you what it is that I think, and I can tell you what my degrees have taught me and whatnot, and that will mean nothing if you have no personal relationship with God. What are the questions that you want to ask? What is it that you've been taught about Jesus? About his ways, about God's ways that you question? And is there room that that's what you've heard about Jesus, about God, about church, about the way the world works? Or are you actually seeking the higher authority of God and finding for yourselves? In full disclosure, it's not easy work. So if you want to be a lazy Christian, this is not the place for you. But your conviction, your truth, I heard earlier that you can say the truth and it can be wrong, right? In social work, there's a word called confabulation. Confabulation, has anybody heard this word? Yes?
You say a lot of words I don't know.
Dan, what do you know of this word?
Just, well, see, and I could have the wrong definition too. I mean, I think, what is it, confabulation is,
I think you're on the right track.
yeah, it's like how you spin things.
How you spin things, right?
Yeah.
Because we all have a story that we tell ourselves, right? It doesn't have to be truthful. But we will usually, as human beings, we find what makes the most sense, the quickest path. What is it that is my story? And we've got Pilate who's looking at Jesus and saying, are you a king? And Jesus is saying, you say that I'm a king? And I find myself pondering as we go into this season and as we offer to this Christ child and a matter of this Christmas time, of this Advent, are we preparing ourselves to say, who is it that you say that I am, Jesus? What have I been telling myself? What have I been telling myself about you? About the way of the world? And yet, what is it that you say that I am? Who is it that you say that I am? A confabulation is when you're able to say something truthfully, but it's not factual.
He was more a leader, wasn't he, than a king? I mean, they just called him King of the Jews.
They
He
did
was
call
a
him
leader.
Right? So king was the title that was placed upon him, and yet when Mary met him at the tomb, she never said, my king.
No.
She said, Rabbi. Rabbi is teacher. Her life was changed because of what she knew personally. We read this morning a short blessing by an Episcopal priest, Bishop John Shelby Spong, And one of the things I like that he talks about, and if you are not familiar with his work, I encourage you can look him up on YouTube and give a listen. I would love to hear your feedback. For me personally, he's one of my modern day theological heroes. But he claims that truth oftentimes is made as a destination, when in fact truth is a journey. We journey towards a truth. We don't arrive at the truth. And just in the same mention that God is truth, do we ever fully arrive at God? Or do we continue to journey towards God as truth? Right? What is truth? And so today, as we come together, what resonates for me so much that I feel God has asked me to impart is that you have a truth. You have a divinity about you. We all do. We are made in the image of God. And if God is part of the mystery, can we find that mystery within ourselves? Because all we can really lay before God, before Jesus Christ, is ourselves. So where is the mystery about you? And where is your divinity? I love today that Jacob applauded himself. Good for you. Where else are we applauding ourselves? Are we so in the loop of the voices that we hear over and over again saying we're not good enough, saying I'm sorry, saying somebody has to be at fault, saying somebody's got to be to blame? Or can we lean into the mystery of saying, God, you have made me in your image. Christ, in this example with Pilate, is speaking Christ's truth. He is not about opposing it on anybody. He is there to speak about his truth. And he tells us in these words, for this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice. In that sense, whose voice are you listening to? Are you listening to this tape recorder, or this record player, or this CD, or this MP3 if you want to get modern day, that tells you I'm not good enough? Or are you willing to hear the voice of truth about your divinity? How easy is it for you to point out the good for someone else? Oh yeah, right? Yes, exactly. Right? Oh my gosh, let me tell you how great this person is. In fact, I'm going to point at Day for a moment. Day, since I've known her, and this is not to exclude everybody else, this is just to give an example, and I apologize because I didn't ask you beforehand. Day has this beautiful ability, since I've known her, that I will be in conversation with her, someone will come forward, and then she will grab me by the arm in some way and say, do you know this amazing thing about this person? Did you know that this person has done this thing? Let me tell you the good about this person, because she knows I'm relatively new. Day has this wonderful ability of speaking such positivity about someone and bragging about them, and I love it. It's one of the reasons that when I stand next to Day, I get excited when I see someone coming, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to learn something amazing about you. Right? Because Day's going to tell me something I don't know. There's a mystery for me that Day helps give that beautiful insight. And in that, you have such an ability to see divinity, to see the good, the God, the love, the truth that lies within someone. And it is truly a gift that you offer our community with that Day. But I don't know about you, I don't get to be with Day every single moment of the day.
Or every day.
Or every day.
You know, though, it comes from God. God tell him what to say. And just kind of lifted him. It's really, I'm just kind of a little pathway. That's how I feel. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Day. We all have a part of Day within us. We all have God within us. While others may be trying to possibly figure out why we're on trial, why we don't fit in, what's going on, let me slap a label on you: Democrat, Republican, gay, straight, black, white, and the list can go on. These categorizations that we get placed in. Jesus teaches us to lean into the questioning, and Jesus gives us the example of understanding his own divinity, his own truth. My kingdom is not of this world. So then you're a king. It is you who says I'm a king. My purpose and the reason for why I was born was to speak the truth. Oh, that groundedness, that rootedness, that example that he gives. Glorious. And so as we move forward in this week, my challenge, my invitation to you, which was invited to me by someone else, are you talking to yourself as kindly as you do to your best friend? That tape recorder that you have going in your mind, that message that's constantly on repeat, those images, those words that you hear, that you accept for yourself, would you ever place them on someone else that you love? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Own your story. Speak your truth. Be kind to yourself. Because we are going into Advent. We're going into a time in which we lay before the Christ child and we celebrate this birth of this Messiah. And the only thing we can bring is ourselves. Final thoughts? Does anybody have anything we would like to add, to say? The truth is a journey, just as our relationship is with God. And as you are on that journey, I pray that you speak as kindly to yourself as you do to those whom you love. Because I feel like that's what God's trying to tell you about yourself. I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.